if people want to hire you as a speaker, you need to have something to show them so they can get a bit of an idea of, whether you're a fit for their needs. So this was a new speaker reel, which you need to update all the time anyway, but it was based around being virtual. So, as you all know, most things have been shut down. It's definitely affected speakers out there. And so we do a lot of our stuff as we're doing it here online. And so to reflect that and to show what you can do, that's what I put out there. So the reason I put it out there it was essentially a first draft. And well, it was more than a first draft. I mean, I had refined it down, but I wanted input on that. And that's what I want to talk about today, because the reason I wanted input is I need to know how to make that video shorter, because I can tell you, the last person I want making a decision about what to take out of a video is me. I am the worst person in the world to be able to objectively look at my own material, my own content, and know what's working, what's not working. And I'm going to respectfully suggest to you that you are too. I've seen this over and over and over again, not just in this world of making videos, but in television, in print, in journalism, in writing books, in making movies. You need outside input to work out what needs to be in your video. So I got some fantastic feedback from people. And so please, during this discussion here, and I've got my friend Warwick Merry, who I'm going to bring in a moment, and we're just going to have a little bit of back and forth about this because I think there's a lot of valuable learning in this. I just want to make some reference to some people who really gave me some detailed feedback yesterday, and I'm going to talk about how I'm going to incorporate that feedback. But big thank you to Matt Fenwick, to Omar. Now I'm not sure, Omar, if it's Omar, how you pronounce your name, but it's Omar Attica from Germany, and there was Bridget English, not sure if she's from England. There were Chris Hewitt, Stuart Jenner, and Warwick Merry, who's going to come on. They all gave me really detailed feedback, and it's been really useful for me. So what I want to do now is say hello to Warwick. Hello, Warwick. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Julian. Thank you so much for having me crash into your live stream.
Yeah, terrific. Because I thought, now the reason I wanted to get you on, Warwick, is you recently, no, it was actually in your feedback to me. That's right. You actually sent me an email and you mentioned about shortening videos and about how you see with speakers out there in the world that we need to get shorter videos. And your experience in the speaking world is far more expansive than mine. And I just thought that we could, even though we're talking about speaker videos, this can be extrapolated out to all videos. So what I got from people's videos yesterday, their comments yesterday, was really interesting, because I got some people saying that my messaging was spot on. Well done, you. Okay. And then I got people saying, no, it's completely wrong. No, it was all about you and it was not enough about them. Right. And then I got people who were saying, oh, I love the pacing in your video. It was really good. And then I got people saying, no, but look, your voice is too melodic. It was tiring. It was putting me to sleep. But a lot of people said it was too long. But one thing that nobody said to me? It was too short. So launching off on that, Warwick, where do you see the general length of videos these days?
It's like commentary on posts. Some people love short form. Some people love long form. I don't know about you, I'm into woodwork, so I'll happily watch a 20-minute video on YouTube that goes into, this is how we do the detail. Now, granted, I watch it pretty fast or I'll skip it a bit. But what I find, and this is for speaker promo videos, I've spoken to a few bureaus and people who select speakers, and if you haven't got them in the first 30 seconds, you're done. And so there has to be something that grabs them early on. And if that's good, they'll wait a little bit. And as I said, I think I said in the email to you, and I know I'm doing this with my video that I'm working on at the moment, is I'm probably going to have 2 videos. So I'll have one that's 60 seconds, and then I'll have one that's 2.5 minutes. So that way they'll be like, oh, I like that little one. Have you got anything more? And then, or they'll go, yeah, whatever, next video. So it really is. I know my previous speaker reel was 90 seconds. And I said to my editor, I need it to be 90 seconds. Because you're right, you can't edit your own stuff when you are your own product. It is you can't get that objective nature. So getting feedback from your buyer is the best feedback, because they're the ones who know what they and people like them are looking for. But for me, I'm like, for a speaker promo reel, I want it to be 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds. Anything more than that, and I'll ask you for more information. But don't give me the 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. I'm not going to watch it.
And it's even you're saying now it's 60 seconds to 90 seconds because, a couple of years ago, it was really 2 to 3 minutes that we were talking. So even, there's this general shift away. And just to put that into context, when I was in television, I was in factual TV and documentaries and current affairs and news. But when we used to make 60-minute documentaries back, oh gosh, it was probably in the early 1990s or something, people started to come in and it was this thing about, no, 60-minute documentaries are too long. We need to make 30-minute documentaries. And I can't tell you the foot stomping and the hand wringing that went on over. How could we possibly tell a story in 30 minutes? Are you crazy? And of course, that's the norm now for a lot of content. And I would say it's actually better. I would say that, having that condensed container to put your story out in really makes you think hard and I think make wiser and better decisions. That's not to say, of course, that you can't, that longer form does, of course, there's always going to be longer form and it's going to suit certain content. But this whole idea of shortening things, and when you come to make your video, and we're now talking 60 seconds and 90 seconds. So the video that I put out was 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. And I chose that as I wanted to make it 2 minutes and 30 because I knew that I actually wanted to cut out 30 to 60 seconds out of that. So some of the comments that you sent through, Warwick, immediately, you just said, you actually put time codes in and said, take out from there to there and there to there, bang, there's 30 seconds gone already. And I looked at it and the reasons that you gave to me to take it out, I just went, yeah. But if I had looked at that, I would have just gone around and around and around in my head. So yeah.
And those short videos, I love your 8-second videos that you've created of late. And for anyone who's watching, go and check them out. And one of the comments you made very early on was that quote from Winston Churchill: if I need to make a 5-minute speech, I need at least a day to plan for it. If you want me to speak for 2 hours, I can do it off the cuff. And to condense your message down takes so much work to look at what are the little pieces I wanted to share? What are the little nuggets I want to give? And it is really challenging to get those messages across. If you look at our society today, because of the advance of technology, we are into quick things all the time. Go back and watch something like Spartacus or Citizen Kane, and the storytelling and the big sweeping shots, and it takes forever to get to where you're going. Go back and look at some of the most recent films, and they've got shots that are like every 3 to 5 seconds. They're changing camera shot. We're changing. We've got more special effects than we know what to do with, because we can't sit with just the long casual. But look at slow TV. There's been a real resurgence of slow TV where they'll have the brilliant documentaries, or they're not even documentaries. It's just a camera on the GAN traveling across Australia that goes for a couple of hours, and people will happily have that in the background. So there is a target market for some of the longer stuff. And it comes back to what one of my business coaches says: for what purpose? What's the purpose of this? For a speaker promo reel, the purpose is I want them to go, I like this person, I want more. They have the right energy, vibe, call it what you will, for my event. That's the purpose. for some of the longer videos, like we're live streaming now, we've gone well over our 60 to 90 seconds. But the purpose of this is to just have a conversation and share different observations. So again, it's got to be fit for purpose.
So talking about this being live streaming and having a conversation, if anyone's out there, can you type a comment in the comment box? Because at the moment I'm getting nothing. And and that makes me wonder, are we actually speaking to anyone out there? This would not be the first time that I've got to the end and I went, well, that was me just talking to myself. It'd be wonderful if you could pop a comment in there. We could be going out, could be no one that is particularly interested in this, who knows? And that actually launches onto a couple of things. I want to talk about vulnerability and how beneficial that can be for you to getting the input that you need. I just want to go back and follow up on a point you were talking about there. Warwick, you were saying about the long and short. Hey, Dean, let me just pop up. I can move the comments here. Thanks, Dean. Terrific. Let me just shorten that down.
I'm pleased we're making sense.
That's good. Yeah. And thank you, Albert. Terrific. Great to have you here, mate. We were talking about the length of shots, and now that there is a fashion, and it's all it is, there is a fashion for shorter shots. Now, you've got to be careful on this, that your biases don't kick in. Now, I remember you, Warwick, sometime in the last 12 months saying, getting on your keyboard and writing these messages, I'm not doing vertical video, I'm doing widescreen. And I went, yeah, that's Warwick's preference. But it actually points to something that is worth thinking about. Who are you making the video for? Because it's irrelevant what you think. Now, my tendency is to make, it's for longer form and longer shots, but it's not who I'm making the video for. It could be, if it's a younger demographic, if you want to connect with them, you've got to give them what they want. So whether that's format, whether that's length of shot. Anything else to say on that, Warwick?
Yeah, and you're right. I'm not into vertical videos, but I made plenty of square videos, and I still do square videos to try and fit the format. And you're right. One of the messages that I learned very early on is I am not my target market. So there's certain things that I just don't like, but my target market love. And so I have to step back from myself and always be thinking, what would my target market think of this? And the same when reviewing videos, it is looking at what would my target market like about this? And there's been often I've gone, I love this bit. This is where I make everybody laugh. And it's just like, yeah, but if my target market are not interested in that, then why would I put it in? So there's stuff that I love, my target market don't, and I'm rapidly approaching, well, I'm over 50 now. And so therefore I don't understand TikTok, yet I know it's the rage. And the research coming from Facebook is that if you're under the age of 35, you're not on it. And so therefore I've got to look at where is my target market, and in the events, it's typically younger people and it's typically females. So in terms of who are making the decisions, so I'm going to make sure that what I'm creating appeals to them.
So with TikTok, I'm on TikTok, and most of the stuff I just do privately on there, but I use TikTok as research. And what I learned is that you can make 60-second or 15-second videos. But what I started realizing with 15-second videos is actually how much information you can get across in 15 seconds if you actually apply yourself to thinking, how can I give this to someone in the most useful, short, applicable form? And that's how my 8-second videos came. I just challenged myself. I said, nominally half of the TikTok, the 15 seconds, can I get messages out in 8 seconds? And so I've got 9 of those so far, and I'll do another video one day and show you how I'm strategically using those. But I want to just something Mark McPherson was just talking about here. He commented on sometimes you're the right person to make the decisions about the editing, and that's so true. And with all the feedback I got yesterday, if I listened to all that feedback, I would be torn and quartered like this. It's pulling me in all directions. So you have to go back to what's in here. But I just want to talk about vulnerability for a moment, because a number of people commented that they thought it was, in a sense, brave that I would put that out there and ask for comments. Number one, vulnerability online works really well. To say, just to put your hands up and go, I know what I know, but it's really about that much of everything that's out there. And if you go in with, well, that's my philosophy that I go in with. So I'm not concerned about, people going, well, why is he asking these questions? It's a ton of stuff. When it comes to video, I know a lot about video, but there's just so much I don't know about video. But getting back to how I started this was saying what I don't know and will never, ever, ever be really good at is seeing my own blind spots. And I need outside input. And this is so wonderful. We have all these platforms here where you can just put a video up. And this is a webcam. Yeah, use your smartphone. I know, Warwick, you're on a smartphone at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got all of this stuff is really easy for just getting out of your own head and putting yourself out there and asking for input. And people, by and large, 99% of the time, give you really respectful, helpful, useful input. So vulnerability is really, really useful.
One of the things that I would say is, and yes, I'm a firm believer in, I love the concept of be yourself amplified. And part of that is understand where you have weak points and ask for help. But when you ask for feedback on some of your work, I'm a bit more selective. I would be more likely to say, here are 6 or 7 people in my industry whose opinion I respect. I want to know what they think of it, versus randoms. Now, having said that, some randoms will give you great feedback, but unfortunately, a lot of people are really nice. And so they'll go, oh, that was really great. And I really love that. And this really, it's like, yeah, I get it. Because let's be honest, I know how to shoot videos, but I want feedback. I don't want that's nice. And it's hard because sometimes we are challenged to give feedback because we don't want to upset anyone. We don't want to, even when you say, I want your feedback, people are like, oh yeah, but I'll just say this is really good. So having someone who gives you really down to earth, honest feedback is really invaluable. And I would encourage people to, it's nice, as you found out, for every person who says, I really like the way that you had the animated door opening, there'll be another person going, not a big fan of the animated door opening. And I've seen that so many times. I've seen speakers and then I'm thinking, oh, they weren't that flash. Turn to the person next to me who's seen the exact same event, and they'll say, they were the best speaker I've ever seen. And I'm just like, well, are we watching the same thing? And this is because we all see the world differently.
It is. And that would be the same. It would be the same when I used to do my magic shows. Was I would do a show. I did 2,000 magic shows. I got 2,000 different ones, the same one over 2,000 times. And when it would be, and sometimes you kill it, same show, and you're just nailing and you're killing it. And you do it the same day to a new audience. And they would sit there with their arms like this. And you thought, what is going on? But then the weird thing is, they would come up afterwards and go and talk to you. Go, that was the best thing I ever saw. And
it's unreal.
People respond so differently. And yeah, so take it all in, but you've got to filter this through your own mind, your own whatever the word is I'm trying to think of there.
Yeah. You got to, you put your mark on it, filter it. So you're like, this is nice, but this is what I want to take on board. I love the concept of take what you like and leave the rest. And often there's some feedback. You'll go, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I disagree. So I'm moving it to one side.
Yeah. So, and to let you know that there's this idea, it's called kill your babies. And it's not just, in most creative areas, whether it's writing or filmmaking or TV, you go out and you create this certain content, or you have this idea that's your special idea, or maybe you're out and you tried to get an interview guest and you worked for months and months and months to get that interview guest. But when you got them on, they actually weren't very good at all. But because you've put all this emotional energy into making that happen, you say, nope, that's going to be it. I don't care. And in television, you have a thing called sub-editors. This is in newspapers as well. And so when a journalist or writes their copy or their words for the story, type it out, right? And then you go to the sub-editor's desk. And a sub-editor's desk was someone who'd probably been long in the saddle at the game that they were playing. And they would get their red pen out, right? And they go, circle, big blocks, cross like that, and give it back to you. And it's the best thing you can ever have, because you just look at it and you just go, yeah, that was all waffle. That was all waffle, or that doesn't need to be there. And you would cut something down to 2 minutes, say a little, 2-minute piece, and they would just go, our program's running short tonight, lose 45 seconds. Just like, and you have to go through and just go cut. And in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't affect much at all. So, removing yourself emotionally from this process, which is a good way that if you can be a little bit vulnerable and put yourself out there and accept a bit of feedback, it just it hardens you up a little bit. And I'm a real, Warwick, I'm a real softie. I mean, I'm a people pleaser. It's not that I don't like criticism, but I've realised that it's necessary to drive yourself forward.
Yeah. And the secret to being successful in whatever you do is to understand it's not about you. And I'm finding this as I'm encouraging speakers to get online and present online and be an online presenter pro, is that when they say, this is a 60-minute keynote. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice. You've got 30 minutes. Make it 30. And the ones who have insisted and gone to 60, they don't have the impact because it's different digitally. And we as you've said, we've got to learn to look at. I think there's a great book. You've got to kill the sacred cow, and it's the same thing. I know for me, I've decided I will no longer market live events. I am all about online events, and my future is online events. Now, if people come to me for live events, I'll do it, but I'm not going to market live events anymore. It's all online because that's where I want my business to go. I've got to tell you, it's scary, but it's about making that decision and going, okay, this is working for me. It's what I want to do. And I think the same to be said for many people is like, we get a bit scared, so we don't want to cut our nose off to spite our face. But sometimes you've got to make that decision. When you've got that 3-minute video and you're like, but all of it's so good. You're like, yeah, but it has to be 90 seconds, say, something's got to go.
So Dean Yo was saying that he agreed that 60 to 90 seconds is the ideal length. If anyone is listening, watching, and what do you think? I mean, what do you think is an ideal length, or what do you strive for if you make videos? And what if you're watching a video, what really frustrates you? If it's is it way too long? What about captions? Do you demand captions? Certainly the younger generation does. Yeah. And
there's a lot to be said for what the technology can do. I love the way that Facebook now does automatic captions. It just sort of started happening. I wasn't even aware of that. And it just makes it more accessible. I've got some people who are hard of hearing in my life who love that kind of stuff. So anything we can do to make it more acceptable and more accessible. I know for some of the online sessions I've done, I've specifically learned how to do happy birthday in sign language, because singing on an online session does not work. And sign language, just, I don't know, there's something about it, and everyone gets really into it. It's funny. I think as we've had so much change thrust upon us, people are willing to embrace some of these different approaches. So as you mentioned earlier, we have to be aware of what our own biases are and get out of the road. Oh, and by the way, there's a brilliant website called yourbiases.is. I believe it's yourbias.is, which has a list of about 24 different biases that you can just to check yourself. And I'm going through that going, oh man, that's like me. Oh, I do that. So it's a good way, because sometimes they sneak in and you don't know they're there.
All right, well, terrific, Warwick. I think we've covered that. It's about as I think it was Theodore Roosevelt said: "Be brief, be sincere, be seated." So say what you're going to say it with passion, and get off the stage. So I think it's our time to get off the stage.
Well, what a joy it's been. Thanks you so much for having me as your guest today on the stream.
Hey, hooroo! See you, everyone. Bye bye.